All right. So I know this is a different format than normal, but I wanted to try something out because I got a tripod today. This is actually going to be really helpful when I'm doing details, doing time lapses and stuff like that. But today, what we are actually going to go over is the different chemicals that I use, the different tools that I use, different rags, so on and so forth. So as of right now, I only use one brand of chemicals. That's not because of like a deal or sponsorship or anything like that. That's just because it's what I was trained on. It's what I'm most comfortable with. That being said, I am starting to branch out and try out different stuff. I actually bought a new small brand's products to test out just to see how it goes. And I'm going to be doing that more. So if any of you guys actually have any brand suggestions for me to try out, please leave a comment and let me know. I would love to try out some different brands that you guys think is actually good. For my chemicals, I use primarily P&S detailing products, primarily their double black line. And this is all the stuff that I use for interiors. So for just general purpose cleaning of like plastic panels or rubber or things like that on the interior, also screens and such, I use Express Interior Detailer. This is a really great just all-purpose cleaner. Sometimes I'll use this on fabric as well if it's not super dirty, just to like kind of spruce it up a little bit. If I actually have stains and stuff that I need to worry about, I will actually transition over to this three-part system here. So what's really interesting about this line is they have basically things set up in steps, right? So for upholstery, they have Terminator, Carpet Bomber, and Finisher. Each of those serve a slightly different purpose. Terminator, being the first step, is used primarily for enzyme-based stains, so proteins, things like that. This is basically a spot stain remover. So you spray this down, agitate it, it helps lift that stain up a little bit. And then you follow that up with Carpet Bomber. What Carpet Bomber is it's basically just a general purpose upholstery cleaner. It also has a really great scent that I love. So this, you spray down over the entire thing just to kind of clean everything up, mostly like dirt and particulate, things like that that get kind of stuck in the carpet. And after you're done cleaning and vacuuming out the product, what you follow that up with finally is Finisher. It kind of makes sense with the name. So what Finisher does is it basically neutralizes, well, it doesn't basically, it literally neutralizes the chemicals that are left in the carpet. The reason why that's important is a lot of chemicals, if you leave any trace level of them active in the upholstery, when like your shoes are wet or it's raining outside, you step in a puddle, anything like that, and you rehydrate that chemical in the carpet, what it will actually do is it'll basically siphon in all of the dirt or mud or anything that's on your shoes or your clothes into the upholstery. And that's kind of not a good thing, because basically what that's doing is, as a detailer, you're promoting staining, and we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. So that's why I really love using Finisher as part of my detailing system. If I have something that's really dirty and really bad and it's just not coming up in my fabrics, I will actually hit it with Hot Shot Degreaser. This is one of the few products that I use that is not in P&S's double black line, but it is a really great general purpose degreaser. You can dilute it to 100 different ratios. It's great. I use it all over the car, but for interiors, I primarily use it for really tough to get out stains that this system can't get out. Usually that's like coffee that's been sitting in the carpet for 5 to 10 years or something like that, right? So another thing that I use in my cleaning process for interior is this right here. This is actually paint gloss showroom spray. So what this is technically a quick detailer for the exterior of your car. The reason why I use it for interiors is it has this really interesting side benefit where it basically neutralizes static. right? And the reason why that's important for interiors, or is useful in interiors, I should say, is because you get the benefit of not having dog hair or like pine needles or things like that statically cling to the carpet. So it actually allows you to pull that stuff up a lot easier. There have been times where I've used this on the interior of a car and have just been able to just straight up vacuum out all the dog hair, because it doesn't have a way for it to actually physically cling to the carpet anymore. Now we're going to actually go into some of the add-on benefits that I'll do with the interior sometimes. So for all of my interior levels, I will throw in some Shine All performance dressing. I'll dilute this really low to like 20-to-1 water to base chemical, and what I will do is put this on basically any plastic or rubber or anything like that that's in the interior of the car. I'll spray it down, spread it around with an applicator, and then pull it off with a microfiber towel about 5 minutes after, so that basically you don't have any residue left over, but you get like this nice matte shine to all of your interior. And you also get the added benefit of now it's heat protected, so you don't get sun damage as easily. So that's what causes a lot of like dashes and stuff to like crack and chip and stuff like that, is heat damage. This protects against that, and I swear by it. The last thing, this is something I only do for my top 2 tiers that I offer right now. This is Inspiration Fabric Coating. This is basically a ceramic coating for your interior fabrics. The reason why I only offer this on my top 2 tiers is because my base tier is designed for an entry-level detail. It's designed for the people who aren't necessarily looking to make their car look the prettiest, but they're just trying to clean it up and make it look a little bit better. I really wanted to make sure that I had at least one service that actually was welcoming to people who aren't necessarily car enthusiasts, people who aren't necessarily trying to enter their car in shows, things like that. So my base detail is basically designed for the soccer mom who has just a destroyed interior from her 5 kids, throwing french fries and ketchup all over the place. And so this isn't offered in that package, but it is offered in all of my other packages. And the reason why this is really great is it protects against staining, so it prevents liquid-based materials to actually get settled in to the fabric. It also is really great for basically preventing wear. Also, I've noticed it kind of adds a slight barrier between the fabric and yourself. And anything that we can do to like extend the life of a vehicle is always a plus for me. Another great thing about this is if you are a detailer and you have to worry about VOC compliance, this is VOC compliant. I would definitely recommend getting this if that is something that you're concerned about, but you're wanting to protect the interior fabrics of your vehicle. All right, so with that, this is all the stuff that I use on the interior of my vehicle. Now I'm gonna swap some stuff out, and we're actually gonna talk about the chemicals that I use on the outside. All right, so you'll notice we have some returning players to the field. So, like I said, this is kind of a quick detailer. This is the paint gloss that I use on interiors. What I use it for exteriors is actually primarily as a clay lubricant. So this works really good if you already have like a really clean car that you don't necessarily need to be washing, but you need to hit with a clay bar just to make sure you get any physical contaminants outside of the paint. So that's what I'll use this for. If I am actually washing the car, I'll just use the car soap that I'm using as a lubricant. It works great. You can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone when you do that too. So you can just use, if you're using like a clay mitt or a clay towel, you can actually use that as your wash media also, which is really great, and it saves you a little bit of time. Shine All, this is used on exterior plastics and tires. It's diluted differently for exteriors though. So if you remember I said for interiors I use a 20-to-1. For for tires, I'll use a 15-to-1. It's a slightly more concentrated dilution, and basically the reason why I do that is if I add too much water, basically you don't really get the benefits on tires, I've noticed. You don't get that like really nice vibrant look to it. But if you go with too much of the chemical to water, it kind of gets that really bad tire shine, spray on and leave it look. And I personally don't like that wet tire look. I like a nice, clean, like brand new tire type of look. So a little bit more of a satin, brilliant finish, if that makes sense. Degreaser, I use this basically for the really, really dirty spots on a car. I will use this on fender wells. I will also use this on engine bays and behind the fuel door. If you're detailing a car and you're not cleaning behind the fuel door, you're doing your job wrong. I'm sorry, that's a little bit aggressive, but honestly, if you're missing that detail, you're not a detailer, you're just washing a car. Detailers are not car wash boys, so let's not miss those small details, because that's what's really gonna make you stand out to your customers. So do that, okay? Moving over here, we've got some new stuff that we're working with. So starting right here, this is Pearl Auto Shampoo. This is my current soap of choice that I use. The reason why is it doesn't have any waxes built into it. It doesn't have any sealants built into it. It is literally just a soap, right? The reason why I like this one in particular is it is pH balanced. So what that does is it helps if you have like a ceramic coating or anything like that. You're not gonna risk damaging the coating by using this soap. So I would definitely recommend picking some of this up and trying it out if you haven't already. All right, so the next soap that we have is this one right here. So this is Epic Waterless Wash. It kind of goes without explaining, it's a waterless wash, right? So this is just a spray on, wipe off type of way of cleaning your car. It's really good if you just have like dust on your vehicle or something like that. I use this mostly for like my personal vehicle as well as like family vehicles, just for like upkeep. I generally don't use this on customer vehicles. I have once or twice, but that's usually just because it's like a quick maintenance wash that doesn't really need that much attention. But this is personally one of my favorite waterless washes. It also doesn't have much in the way of wax. It does have a wax in it because that's just part of being a waterless wash, but it doesn't have like a super high volume of it in it, so it doesn't leave streaks as easily. It's a really good waterless wash if you're looking at getting one. Next, we have paint prep. So this serves two functions for me. This I actually use as a glass cleaner, right? So this is really, really good for cleaning glass because it is alcohol based. So once you get it spread out and wiped down and you're wiping it down, it actually effervesces off of the glass, and that helps in not leaving streaks, right? The other thing that I use this for is actually prepping paint for ceramic coatings or anything like that. I'll also use this to tear off ceramic coatings for someone if they're going to be getting their vehicle wrapped, things like that. But this is another one of those like dual purpose chemicals. Now we get into the fun stuff as far as what we use on exteriors when we aren't doing paint correction. We're going to get into those things that I use also here in a second. But after you correct your paint, some people want a ceramic coating. So I actually offer 2 ceramic coatings, but they serve 2 different purposes. This one right here, I'll start with this one. This is by Car Beauty Pro. It's kind of a local-ish brand. I don't really like this ceramic coating all that much, if I'm being honest, as far as for paint. What I do use this for is when I do a headlight restoration. This works really great for headlights, right? The reason why you want to put like a ceramic coating or something like that on headlights is when you're correcting them, you're actually pulling that outermost layer off of it, and that is bad because that's kind of your protection from heat and sun damage, right? So adding this to it basically adds that protection back to the vehicle, and we need to make sure that by trying to fix something, we're not damaging a customer's vehicle, right? So that's what we use this for. The second ceramic coating, and this one is actually really cool and I really like this. This is P&S's Legend ceramic coating. It's really cool. This coating is actually really easy to use too. So what's really nice about this coating is it's a 5-year coating, but it's applied in 2 coats, right? So what's interesting about that is basically you get a 5-year coating with 2 coats, but you can also run a single coat of this, and you can basically get 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 years out of just a single layer of this, and I really like that. So this is a really good coating. It is really expensive. This is like a $150 coating, but it's really cool because it comes with like this little card for the instructions. It comes with a plaque that you can actually put on the vehicle that you're installing the coating on, and it comes with its own applicator in the packaging. And it's just honestly one of the best parts about this is the packaging. Like, look at that. That's beautiful, right? So this is my current premium coating that I use. All right, so now let's start getting into something a little bit more interesting. Let's get into my paint correction system. So on to polishing. I know I had this product out when we were talking about exterior stuff. I decided I was actually going to talk about it with polishing because that's kind of where I use it. So we'll get to this last. So first, let's get into actual tools real quick. So my polisher, it's nothing super fancy, okay? This is a Spita SPTA. I don't know what the brand's name is actually pronounced as. This was on Amazon. This is like I want to say it was like 60 bucks. It operates basically like a Rupes polisher or a Flex polisher. It's probably not built to the same quality, but right now it works for what I need it to do. And when it breaks, I'll upgrade it to something better. But for right now, this is what I'm using. For pads, I use a few different types of pads. I will use these foam pads. So I'll use these depending on at different densities. So a stiffer, more harsh foam I'll use for cutting, and that slowly works into a really soft foam that I'll use for polishing, right? Another another type of pad that I personally use, and the only other type of pad that I use, is actually microfiber pads. And I actually only use microfiber for cutting. I don't really like using it for polishing personally. It just doesn't work with my technique. That might be something that I need to work on a little bit. But for me, this is what I use when I really need to get a strong, deep cut into the clear coat, right? So when there's heavy damage that I'm needing to polish out, this is what I'll go for. All right, so we are actually now going to get into the physical polishes. So what I use for polishes, I only use 3, and that's actually where I feel like I need to expand my chemicals a little bit, get some other stuff, try out. I'm probably gonna buy a few different things and test those out on a vehicle here in the near future. It's probably gonna be my own. I don't really like testing new stuff on customer vehicles. I feel like there's too much of a risk with working with something that you're not familiar with when it comes to that. And that just goes against my personal ethics. But what I do use currently, I use 2 different types of polishing. I use a 2-step method, and then I use a single-step method. Generally speaking, if I am doing a single-step method, I will use all-in-one polish. This is specifically meant to be a single-step polish. So it has some thicker abrasives to cut down, and then as you work the material, those abrasives break down into a finer material, and basically it behaves as a finishing polish after that. So this is really great for just minor polishing, something that's real quick, something you don't really need to spend a lot of time on. I've noticed personally, this might not be the same for everyone else, but this works really good on Dodge paint. This is like amazing on Dodge paint, actually. You can get just a super deep mirror-like finish on that paint with this product. Sometimes though, you have like barely any polishing to do. You basically just need to go to a finishing step, like just a super low impact polish. And that, when I'm doing that, I will just use MV jeweling polish as a single step. This doesn't really have any abrasives in it. It's basically it's a jeweling polish. So this is like after you do, it's designed for like after you do a finishing step, you come back and you hit it with this, and you get a really vibrant, deep shine with it. But it does work really well as a single step if you're not really having to do much to the paint to get it to a near perfect finish. So I'll use this as a single step as well. If I'm doing a two-step, I'll actually use that as my finisher, and I'll lead up with Ego Maker Compound. So what this is basically, it kind of, from my experience, this might not actually be accurate to how the company designed it, but it works similarly to this. The only difference is it starts out a lot more aggressive. So basically, from what I've noticed, is those particulates in it that actually make it a cutting compound start out much larger, much more aggressive, but they do break down over time into a finer material. And because of that, I'll actually use this with a cutting pad and with a like medium density like polishing pad, just to kind of bring it up just a little bit more. But I'll usually use this twice if I really need to. Most of the time I only need to use it once and just use a cutting pad, and it gets it almost perfect. And then I'll just follow it up with a single pass of jeweling polish just to get it really brilliant finished. All right, quick change of pace real quick. I know this is a really long video and there's a lot of like info heavy content in this. I'm sorry, it just kind of be how it be sometimes. But real quick, just to give your brains a little break, in the comments, tell me what is one of your favorite cars that has ever been produced. Doesn't necessarily have to be a car you've owned. If it has been, that's awesome. If it hasn't, dream cars are important. It's part of why we do what we do as car enthusiasts. That being said, yeah, back to sitting Dan. Now, we're actually going to talk about the product that I kind of left out when I was talking about exterior, and that would be Bead Maker by P&S. So this is actually really cool. This is really popular if you're really into cars and making your car look pretty, or you're a detailer, you've heard about this. This is a really great high shine sealant that also makes your car very hydrophobic. That's part of why it's so popular. The only issue with this product is that first application, you gotta go through a lot. But it does have a lot of benefits. It makes your paint real slick. It's pretty dang close, from my experience. It's the closest that you can get to feeling like you have a true ceramic coating on your car with just a spray chemical. This stuff works really great. It also smells like dreamsicles, so if that's something that you really like, that's a plus here. One of the reasons why I left this for polishing is I generally don't use this product unless I am polishing the vehicle. I do offer it as like a really low cost add-on for all of my detailing, but generally speaking, I won't recommend this if I'm not polishing the paint. It's kind of just a waste of a product at that point, because you still have contaminants and issues like that that are still in the paint that are going to make it not work as well as it could. But that being said, that's all of my polishing stuff. Next we are going to jump into our tools for interior and exterior cleaning. It's not really a big list, so we'll get into that right now. So now we're getting into the nitty gritty. We're getting kind of into the plethora of tools that I use. So starting out, pressure washer. It's a pressure washer. This is like another cheap Amazon buy. It's not super expensive. You really don't need a pressure washer that shoots with high pressure. What you really need when it comes to pressure washers is gallons per minute. That's the thing that you need to worry about, is how much water is it throwing out, right? So the higher you can get your GPM, the better it's gonna be for detailing. Generally speaking, that's all you really need to worry about. This is a cheap little electric one. It does what I need it to do, and that's about it. I really only use it for two things: rinsing cars and applying soap to cars. How I apply soap to cars with a pressure washer is foam cannon. This is another cheap Amazon buy. This was like a $5 foam cannon. It's got some good adjustability to it, but the one problem that I do have with it is it can naturally adjust, like it can adjust its width of spray kind of its own free will, and I am not really a fan of that. So this is probably going to be getting replaced at some point, but for now it's what I use. The other big thing here is my vacuum. Why did I forget the word vacuum? So this vacuum was at the great price of free. This was a vacuum that my grandpa used to use in his shop. He no longer needs it. He got a better one, so I use this. It's just a small Stanley 2.8 horsepower shop vac. It works great. It's small, it's portable, it does everything that I need it to. Other than those, the most important thing that I use is actually not necessarily a tool. Gloves. If you are detailing a car, wear gloves. You trust me, you do not want to use, or you do not want to have the chemicals that we use in detailing on your skin as regularly as they will be if you do not wear gloves, right? I do this for a living, so I wear gloves. You might not need to wear gloves if you're just like a hobbyist, or you're detailing your personal vehicle once a month or so on, but with doing it day in and day out, this is important. It's really good for your skin health, it's really good for your body, and you need to protect yourself. Other than that, let's see, what else should we go over real quick? Let's go over brushes. Okay, so I have a plethora of brushes. I have so many brushes. So the easiest ones to go over first probably be these ones. This is a mess. This is a disaster. So these brushes, these are detailing brushes that you can get at like AutoZone, Napa, O'Reilly's, places like that. These are super cheap. They're not really great for much. They can damage stuff pretty badly if you get it on paint. I would not use these on paint. I will, however, use these on like interiors and engine bays, things that can kind of withstand a little bit more abuse. That's what I'll use these for. If I need to be a little bit more delicate, usually with interiors, I will use these. These are two different sizes and two different bristle densities. but these are Detail Factory brushes. These are the OG Detail Factory brushes, actually. These are the ones that are just straight up round. These aren't the Tri-Grip. I'm gonna probably try out the Tri-Grip ones here soon. Detail Factory brushes are pretty expensive. So if you're looking at this for something you should maybe try out, I would maybe steer clear of Detail Factory. While they are some of the best quality, the price point can be a little bit much for some people. And you can definitely get brushes that work similarly without having to break the bank. They won't necessarily work as good, but they'll get the job done. What a lot of people will use is like 1-inch painter's brushes. They'll go and they'll like feel them out and see how hard they are. You want brushes that are really, really soft. This one basically feels like a makeup brush, if you've ever felt one of those. And this one's just a little bit stiffer. It's a bit more like a boar's hair brush, but these are synthetic. I would highly, highly recommend getting different aggressivenesses when it comes to your brushes, because you're gonna encounter different things, and you should probably definitely look into that. But Detail Factory brushes are definitely good if you can afford them at the price point. The next brush of that style is this one. This is a boar's hair brush. This one I pretty much only use on the exterior of vehicles. This I use for like lug nuts, like center cap areas of wheels. I also use this for emblems, and I'll use this when I'm cleaning the inside of fuel doors and stuff. Like I said earlier, if you're not cleaning a fuel door, you're messing up. All right, next. Yes, this is a toothbrush. Very specifically, it is a clear oral B toothbrush. Brand doesn't necessarily matter. The reason why I have a toothbrush is this is a very soft bristle that I can use in small, fine areas. So like in the little nooks and crannies and crevices around like center consoles and stuff like that, where like body seams meet and stuff gets stuck in those, I'll use this. The bristles are really thin, and it works great for getting stuff out of those tight spaces. Definitely would recommend using a toothbrush. Sometimes you don't gotta go with a specific like detailed brand to get a tool that does the job perfectly, and that's one of those cases. Going on to the complete other end of the spectrum, something where you pretty much have to buy a detailing brand product, like a product from a brand that is exclusively for detailing. I said the same thing twice, and both of them were very convoluted and complex, but that's okay. We're gonna figure it out. This is a pet hair brush. So this works, I mean, it does exactly what it says it does. It's for pet hair. This one's really cool. It's a pet hair brush, but it also has this blade for getting on flat surfaces where you can't necessarily be having all of these different high pressure points of contact. So this is really good for like back decks on rear windows if you have like a small dog that gets up in there. This is really great for that. It also works really good for getting at like difficult angles just based off of the way it's designed. I don't remember the brand of this one. I don't remember how much it cost, but would definitely get a pet hair brush if you're interacting with vehicles that have animals in them. It's kind of a needed thing. Last brush is wheel brush. There's a few different types of wheel brushes. This one I just use for the faces of vehicles. I have another one that I use for the like inside of wheel wells, but this list was getting pretty big and exhaustive and was kind of taking up a lot of space. I'll use this brush specifically, like I said, for like tires and wheel faces. It's really soft bristle. It's really long bristle too, so it really works good at like taking some of that road debris out of tires and wheels, and it works really, really good. I definitely would recommend running with this if you can get one. They're really not that expensive, but it's another one of those tools where you just have to have the tool that's designed for the specific job. Next thing we're going to go over is different types of applicators. All right, so I have two different kinds here. There's 8 billion different kinds. You saw one in the Legend kit that I showed off earlier. That's a microfiber applicator. This is a foam applicator. This one I use specifically for wheels and tires. Whenever I'm applying something to those, I'll use this style. It works really good at getting into the little grooves and nooks and crannies. When I need to do something that's got a little bit more terrain to it, so like the bases of mirrors, things like that, I'll use this low density foam disc one. These ones are a little bit more malleable, and they work really, really great for all of those difficult curves that you could run into with applying stuff. Obviously that is not an exhaustive list of applicators. There's like billions and billions of different designs for applicators. Another thing that I will use, this is a vent brush. This is specifically designed for getting in between the fins of like air vents in the interior and cleaning those out. What's really nice about these is this is made out of microfiber, and this is just a little sleeve that goes over these prongs. So it's reusable, it's cleanable, it's great. I would definitely recommend getting one of these. It makes life a heck of a lot easier. I'm gonna worry about putting this back together later. Since we're on the topic of microfiber rags, there's billions and billions of these as well. Basically, the rule of thumb that people need to worry about when it comes to rags is you need to have different rags for different jobs. You really do. It makes life a heck of a lot easier, especially if you're doing only an interior or only an exterior. You aren't necessarily just grabbing all the rags and taking them and not having them, or putting a rag somewhere where it shouldn't be because of what it was used on the last job. So I have a series of different microfibers that are low pile, high pile, different weave patterns, all of these things that serve different jobs. Some of them are for polishing, some of them are for drying, some of them are for cleaning interior, some of them are for just my engine bays. There's really, what I would say is find the microfibers that work for you, but get different ones. At the very least, color code your microfiber towels. It's a lifesaver, trust me. The next thing, clay bars. I don't like them. I don't like clay bars. I feel like the cost to benefit isn't there. I also feel like they're bordering on one-time use, and if I can avoid having a tool that is likely to be highly disposable, I will. I use clay mitts instead. Synthetic clay towels also work really, really great. The reason why I use a mitt is because it's a mitt. It doesn't really go anywhere, and it works really great. The reason why I use synthetic-based clay products is because if you drop a clay bar, it's ruined. You got to throw away that clay. If you drop a clay mitt or a clay towel, you can wash it and get the debris that you dropped it in out of it and use it again. And that's like a 5-second process. And honestly, it's way better. It works better. We should probably, as a whole industry, just move away from physical clay, in my opinion. I might be biased, but it is what it is. Getting into some more deep cut tools. Got these. All right. So this is some stuff that is some pretty specific case use stuff. 4/0 or quadruple 0 steel wool. This is used for getting like water stains and watermarks and whatnot out of glass. Okay, 4/0 steel wool is softer than glass, which means that it will take care of the watermarks. It will not damage the glass. If anyone tries to tell me that it does, you're wrong. Look at the science. It'll pull it off. It won't damage the glass. and it's cheap. I would definitely get some if you aren't using it. It really helps with watermarks, especially if you don't have a way to purify water or if you're washing cars outside. Steel wool is a lifesaver, trust me. This is interesting. This is basically just a jelly wedge, really. What I use this for is when I have to do paint touch-up and paint chip repair. This is really good for leveling the surface and forming to the body curve of a panel. This is a lifesaver. It's great. It does its job perfectly. This one is specifically the one that comes with the Dr. Color Chip kits, and I would recommend it over any other leveling tool that I have used. This is amazing. Next, wet sandpaper. This I use for wet sanding. I also use this little wooden block as my sanding block for it. This is used for like when you really need to get orange peel out of a panel or something like that. You're just taking a small thin layer to level the surface of the paint, and this works really good. This is for when you really got to do some aggressive stuff to make cars look perfect. This I generally only use if I am doing rock chip repair or if I am doing a car that is being entered in a show. This is an unnecessary step realistically for most cars. It honestly is, and that's one of those things where if the car isn't needing it, don't recommend it. Like just don't. There's a lot of businesses that'll upsell on wet sanding, and realistically it's not for all cars, and some cars are in a bad enough condition that you just can't polish them, and they just are how they are, and they need to be repainted. It's just how it is. So yeah, that's a whole different thing though, isn't it? This is a drill brush. This I use for interior carpets. The reason why I use a drill brush for interiors is it works really good at saving you some time when it comes to cleaning interiors. This is the old school brush that people used to use, and sitting there scrubbing a floor panel or a seat with this takes forever. This, way faster, and it saves me hours of work. Honestly, if you're not using a drill brush and you're detailing as a profession, you need to get with the game. This is the move. Trust me, this is the move. Woo, okay, so that was a lot of stuff to cover and a lot of rambling from me, and I'm really sorry about that. Real quick, before the video ends, I just wanted to remind everyone that in Albany, Oregon, on the 7th of September this year, which is 2022, if you're saying this in the future, sorry you missed it, but on the 7th, there is going to be a car show up in North Albany at the shopping center. Please come by. I'm going to have a stand up. Come say hi, check out some really cool cars, meet some really awesome people. It's going to be a great event, and you should definitely be there if you can. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you have anything that you want to see from me specifically, leave a comment. Really appreciate it. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Peace.